The Philadelphia Eagles clearly will have a lot of choices to make this offseason. Philadelphia is one game away from history, but then the tough decisions are going to pick up. The Eagles have a handful of key pieces heading to free agency this offseason, including Zach Bond, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, and Mekhi Becton, among others. The Eagles don't have too much cap space to work with, and currently are projected to have just over $13 million effective cap space by over the cap. The Eagles can make some more room and restructure deals, but there is going to be some turnover. ESPN's Bill Barnwell recently took a look at each playoff roster heading into the offseason and suggested top priorities and potential candidates to get cut. For the Eagles, he said their top priority should be re-signing Sweat over anyone else. Top priority, Sweat, Barnwell said. That's not the longest list of notable free agents, but there are a handful of key players in the mix, including 3 contributors to Philadelphia's much-vaunted defensive line. Brandon Graham is either going to retire or return to Philadelphia, but Sweat and Williams are young and valuable. With Bryce Huff struggling badly in his first season with the Eagles, General Manager Howie Roseman might be more inclined to bring back Sweat to play across from Nolan Smith Jr. The franchise tag for linebackers is based off edge rushers who are listed as linebackers as opposed to defensive ends. So the $27.1 million projection doesn't fit the market for off-ball linebackers, such as Bond. The top of the market for inside linebackers is Roquan Smith's average annual salary of $20 million per year. I still can't imagine Philadelphia paying that much for a linebacker, even with Nakobe Dean recovering from a torn Achilles, but there was once a time when Roseman wouldn't have given serious thought to paying a running back $12.5 million per year too. Only time will tell. Sweat will be a free agent as his $10 million deal expires. But, no matter what happens, hopefully the Eagles have a Super Bowl ring to show for the season. That's right. We're just 1 week away from the most important game of the year in the NFL, Super Bowl LIX. American football fans will enjoy the event regardless of whether their team makes it to the finals. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles will face off at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. The pressure is on both sides, as the Chiefs look to win their 3rd consecutive championship and remain at the top of the NFL, and the Eagles look to win the championship that has eluded them in recent years. With so much on the line for both teams in 1 week, Philadelphia is already thinking about next season, and the rumors have certainly stirred things up in the city. Saquon Barkley has been a key player for the Eagles this season, but his future could be in doubt with Philadelphia's Plan B. According to local reporter Anthony DeBona, Philadelphia has already had a couple of meetings with Miami's college running back, the great Damian Martinez. All signs point to him being Philadelphia's next draft target, which would be a huge loss for the Miami Hurricanes. Damian Martinez is the big sensation in college football and seems to be a good alternative in case of a surprising departure of Saquon Barkley. Damian Martinez, a 21-year-old from Oregon State, won the Pac-12 Offensive Rookie of the Year award in 2023. Now that he has transferred to Miami, his draft value has skyrocketed. He rushed for 1,002 yards and scored 10 touchdowns this season. Meanwhile, Saquon is the NFL's all-time rushing leader and is one step away from breaking Eric Dickerson's record with 345 career attempts this season. So why all the running back fuss? Because Barkley, who joined the Eagles from the Giants on a 3-year deal worth $37,750,000, could be looking for new adventures when his contract expires in 2026. It wouldn't be a bad idea to have a Plan B up your sleeve just in case. Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends in NFL history, a 10-time Pro Bowl selection, 7-time All-Pro, and 3-time Super Bowl winner, who is one of the most prolific postseason receivers in history. Patrick Mahomes' favorite receiver is at 174 receptions for 2,039 yards, with 20 touchdowns in 24 playoff games. Kelce is also dating perhaps the world's biggest star and is the brother of the most popular man in Philadelphia. At times, Travis is almost an honorary Eagle when helping out big brother Jason with Eagles autism charity events down the Jersey Shore, at least when his team in Kansas City is not trying to play keep away with the Lombardi Trophy. Few can match that kind of resume, but Kelce's counterpart in Philadelphia is making his own history with a playoff run of 15 receptions for 188 yards in this Philadelphia run to Super Bowl LIX, where the 17-3 Eagles will play the 17-2 Chiefs for the second time in 3 years. Coming into the game, Dallas Goedert is now the Eagles' all-time leader in postseason receiving with 50 catches for 535 yards. As offensive players, the two don't compete against each other. However, when another star at your position is on the opposite sideline, there's always some motivation to perform on the same stage. Goedert is cognizant of not allowing Kelsey's presence to overwhelm what his job is in the game plan. "I want to do whatever I can to help this team win," Goedert said. "If the ball comes my way, that's great. If I'm doing it in the blocking game, that's great. If I'm running people off, clearing people for other people, that's great too. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Tavis. It's fun to watch him. It's fun to see what he can do year in, year out. He's obviously one of, if not the best to ever do it. I don't play him. I'm not competing against him individually for anything, so I'm just going to do whatever I can to help the team win." The two players have become friends, not only through Jason Kelsey, but also through the annual Tight End University, the offseason brainchild of Travis, George Kittle, and Greg Olsen, where tight ends assemble to help each other with their craft. "When he gives his spiels at Tight End University, I really pay attention. It's cool," Goedert said. "He's got so much freedom in their offense that he can make plays in many different ways. It's not just a deep cross to getting to 10, going over. If he feels space, he finds it. Him and Mahomes have a great connection where they're always on the same page. That's kind of what I tried to instill in Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. Stick with me. If you need me, I'll be there, and just make plays." Hurts spoke about that effort by Goedert this week. "Every offseason we spend a lot of time together," Hurts said. "Opportunities come and they look different, and he's always been diligent and always been patient, and I think specifically him coning out to Houston. We usually always get together in Cali. All those things pay off, so that's exactly kind of our MO coming into this game. Coming into all of these games, all the work and time we put in, it pays off when it's supposed to." Philadelphia Eagles. Right tackle Lane Johnson will be 35 at the start of the 2025 NFL season. Could Super Bowl? LIX. "No chance," according to Johnson. "I'm definitely not retiring after this game, win or lose," Johnson said Saturday. "I'm definitely playing next year. That's really how you take it, I guess, when you get up in age, 1 year at a time. But physically, I feel a lot better than I have in the past probably couple of years. I feel really good. For being this late in the year, it's usually not like that. I'm thankful. We've got a good team here to help us with all that." Johnson, a 2-time All-Pro and 6-time Pro Bowler, has been Philadelphia's primary right tackle since his 2013 rookie season. Super Bowl LIX will mark the third Super Bowl he has started for the Eagles, with Super Bowl LII and Super Bowl LV being the other two. Johnson is 6th among offensive tackles this season in pass blocking grade, 88.1, 7th in overall grade, 85.4, and 12th in run blocking grade, 80.2, according to Pro Football Focus. 2 years ago, Johnson and the Eagles lost a heartbreaker to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl LVYs, blowing a 24-14 halftime lead and losing 38-35. They're out for vengeance next week. "We didn't finish what we started a couple of years ago," Johnson said. "We have a big chance to go play well and do something special. That's on our mind, but really, for me, I don't try to get caught up in the emotions of it. I just see it as something in the way, and we've got to find a way to get it out of our way." As for the battle on Johnson's side of the ball, Philadelphia's offense averaged 187.9 passing yards, 29th in the NFL, 179.3 rushing yards, 2nd, 367.2 total yards, 8th, and 27.2 points, 7th, per game in the regular season. The Eagles will face a Chiefs defense that surrendered 218.8 passing yards, 18th, 101.8 rushing yards, 8th, 320.6 total yards, 9th, and 19.2 points, 4th, per game in the regular season. Should the Eagles prevail, they'd end the Chiefs' bid to become the first team to three-peat in the Super Bowl era. Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints drafted a little-known pass rusher out of Wisconsin in Zach Bond with a third-round pick back in 2020. After exploding onto the scene as an off-ball linebacker in his first season with the Philadelphia Eagles, could Payton look to reunite with the first-team All-Pro with the Denver Broncos in 2025? With the Eagles about to play the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl LIX, and Bond a catalyst for the NFL's #1 defense, it's likely that Philadelphia GM Howie Roseman makes a hard push to re-sign his top pending free agent. But insider Dan Graziano recently predicted Bowen to land $60 million on the open market, and that could be too rich for an Eagles team that will be tight on cap space entering the new league year. With that in mind, Jordan Dajani of CBS Sports predicts Bond will shake free this March and land with Peyton's Broncos. Here was his take. The Broncos got some nice play from Cody Barton, but Sean Payton could decide to upgrade with a player he drafted in the 3rd round back in 2020 with the Saints. Bowen was one of the best players in the entire NFL this past season, as he recorded 151 combined tackles and 3.5 sacks in the regular season, and then became the first player to record 10 tackles, 1 forced fumble and a fumble recovery in a conference championship game or Super Bowl since Charles Tillman in Super Bowl XLI. Bowen cashes in with Denver after a career year in Philly. The Eagles could find themselves in a tough spot with Bowen, since the franchise tag number for linebackers is bloated by premier edge defenders. A new contract at $10 to $15 million in average annual value feels like the only path forward, and the Eagles have other key starters to consider re-signing in DT Milton Williams, edge Josh Sweat, and RG Mackey Becton. With that said, there's mutual interest between Bowen and the Eagles to get a deal done, and Peyton is far too proud to play top market for a player he drafted and failed to develop during his time with the Saints. Bowen was little more than a situational pass rusher for New Orleans, who never had more than 30 tackles in a season. The Eagles are about to enter a fascinating offseason, potentially off a Super Bowl title, but all signs right now point to Bowen being their top priority in free agency.